It's time for the Las Vegas Sportsline. Brought to you by Caesars Entertainment, where every guest is treated like Caesar and every visit is unforgettable.
It is a big Wednesday edition of the Las Vegas Sportsline. It's brought to you by Caesars Entertainment and Jeff Davis, Director of Director of Trading for Caesars Entertainment, joins us in just a second. He's on the line, in fact, right now. Ralph Michaels is on board. Jason Brinks is Ubering his way up from the Mirage, where he's in town this week for March Madness. And judging by the road construction that's going on right in front of Lotus Broadcasting right now, he'll be here tomorrow. Okay, but hopefully he'll be
I
here.
drove from that side of town yesterday, and it's not fun.
It took me 5 minutes to cover this 100 yards from...
Probably better going down Tropicana and skipping Flamingo totally.
Really, what a mess. Anyway, here we go. March Madness is upon us. We got a couple of games already in as far as the tournament's concerned, and Jeff Davis is on the line with us right now. JD, what's going on, man?
Dave, how are you?
I am doing fine. I am excited to hear about this stuff. You know, technology is amazing. It's just incredible what we can do now. If you're at Caesars Palace for March Madness, for the tournament tomorrow and Friday and over the weekend, basically the only thing you have to do yourself is, if nature calls, technology can't take care of that.
They might have catheters for rent. You never know.
But outside of that, I mean, you got some really cool stuff set up for Caesars guests for the basketball tournament. Food right to the seat, kiosks available. I mean, this is going to be great.
Absolutely. So when you're sitting in the Caesars Palace book watching the games this weekend, at every seat there's a number you can send a text to, and then they send you back a link where you can order food from one of the many food court establishments over at Caesars, and they deliver it right to your seat. You don't even have to get up. It's fantastic. We also have installed kiosks where you can bet sports and horse racing, which is actually quite good. If you're a horse player, it's quite difficult to get to the window Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You can also make deposits into your pre-existing mobile account. It's open during congruent with the book hours. You don't have to deal with the lines. It's all at your convenience. It's great stuff.
And when there's no basketball, because there are going to be some hours where there's no basketball, talk about some great entertainment at Caesars this weekend. I'm telling, this is my era, man. These guys are good. Hall and Oats in town.
Totally agree. For somebody that, that might like to go back a little bit in the music, Hall and Oats at Caesars for 3 nights, tonight, Friday, Saturday. If you want to get away from the basketball, should be a great show.
All right. Well, let's start some previews. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. We can talk about where the lines are moving on these games. Opinions. Jason will be in a couple minutes. He's got some good stuff as far as the opinions are concerned. Ralph always has good material. My stuff sucks, but, hey, there's going to be one weak link in the group. It'll be me. When we get to the NHL, I'll brag a little bit, but not in the college hoops. Arizona State and St. John's. This one really does intrigue me because it's two conferences that I think are kind of weak. The Pac-12, that's the general consensus everywhere, is it's a bad league. And I don't think the Big East is real good this year. I think it got overrated because there are no real bad teams in the league, Jeff. But I don't think there's a real good team in the league either.
Yeah, Dave. The Big East, while not the best, and there isn't an elite team like there has, it's got a depth of decent teams where we've talked about it before. The Pac-12 isn't even really a major conference at this point. The public and the sharp money is weighing in on Arizona State. We open pick. It's up to 2. I totally see where they're coming from. St. John's has been absolutely terrible defensively in their last 5 games. Arizona State's won 6 of 8 with their only losses coming to a red-hot Oregon. I can see why the money's coming in on Arizona State tonight.
Jeff, the other play-in game is NC Central and North Dakota State, and I think the whole world thought South Dakota State was going to be here as far as, the play-in is. And we know MEAC is the worst conference there is. I mean, the MEAC and the SWAC are as bad as you go. When your best team is 300, are you getting action on this game? Or, are people going with that North Dakota State team that at least they know from football?
We opened 5.5 and immediately took some underdog money, and it's worked its way back to 5. The public's betting North Dakota State. There's no sharp interest on North Dakota State, it seems. A big number to lay in a lower total game, albeit against such a bad conference. 2 of the slowest tempo teams in the country. I think it'll be a low-scoring, closer game, which is why no interest on North Dakota State.
Yeah, I like the dog in the game, to be honest with you. I mean, North Dakota State went wild from three-point land. They shot almost 50% for the Summit Tournament, not just one game, for the 3 games. They live and die by the 3. And NC Central might have the edge inside, so we'll see what happens. This one's intriguing to me, and I am making a play in this game. St. Mary's and Villanova tipping tomorrow. And what I said in the Big East holds. I think Villanova's a good team. I don't think they're a great team. They live and die by the 3. And Jeff, St. Mary's stops the 3. I like the way they're playing, too. I think the Gales are live here.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's the second highest handle game of the whole first round.
Wow.
It's just drum up a lot of interest. Like the game we just talked about, 2 of the slowest tempo teams in the country, really low total. We have one guy that we really respect, took 5 with St. Mary's. Everyone else is on Villanova.
Good.
And it's one of those weird sports dichotomies where St. Mary's seems to get eliminated early from the tournament every year. This is their weakest entry of all of the Randy Bennett teams that have been to the tournament. This will probably be the year that they win a few games just because.
Well, we go from a low-scoring total to a high-scoring total, and 2 of the most exciting players in the country.
Oh,
I mean, it's, Jay Moran, for those that haven't watched him, probably the number 3 pick in the draft this year. What an exciting game. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's the money's been all Murray State, sharp and square. We opened 5.5. We're down to 3.5, and there's been a little interest at Marquette minus 3.5. There are some threes out there. Morant's an electrifying player. I'm just not sure Murray State's all that good as a team. They haven't played much. Marquette's really struggling down the stretch. I can kind of see why the money's coming where it is. I no opinion on this game whatsoever for me.
All right, we'll move to Seton Hall and Wofford. We're going through all the Big East teams, and Jason Brinks is now in the house and joining us, so he can start chiming in on these. And Seton Hall, Wofford, Seton Hall, great job to rally late in the season, get to the tournament. Wofford, they've been talked about as a dangerous mid-major all season, and they really look like they might be one coming into this tournament. They were impressive last weekend.
Yeah, for sure. And we have conflicting opinions on this one. We had one group lay 2 and another group take 3. We're at 2.5 now. The public's pretty mixed on this one. Dave, I know you've been super high on Wofford all year, and I don't necessarily disagree, but I'm going to side with a classier team here. Wofford has no really marquee win outside of maybe South Carolina. They've handled everyone they've supposed to handle, but they've been handled by the teams that were supposed to handle them. They're going to need to shoot the lights out to win, which they can. I lean Seton Hall, however.
Jason, you're in the house now, and you are a Big East guy. You're from that part of that neck of the woods. What do you think of the conference? What do you think Seton Hall's chances against Wofford?
Well, that we were talking a lot leading up to the tournament, and I always look at what Joey Brackett says the projections.
Yep.
And the matchup I wanted was, oddly enough, St. John's versus Wofford, because I think Wofford would have killed them. But this is a different story. I mean, I don't know. Seton Hall, obviously they're playing better now. Overall, the conference, I think you agree with me on this. It's not as good as what people think.
I don't think so either. Florida and Nevada. This is a game. I have a strong opinion on this game. And Jeff, I like the Wolfpack. I think they've been waiting around all season for this tournament. And I think they're going to show their true colors and get rid of a Florida team that has offensive. They're challenged offensively, let's put it that way. And you got to shoot the ball to beat Nevada. And I don't think they're going to do it.
Here in the office, we agree with you. We like Nevada as well. We've taken mostly two-way action on this. Nevada, much the better roster, but for whatever reason, completely underachieved this year. And it's can they, after all they've been through, just turn the switch basically and get themselves up to where they have the potential to, or were predicted to this year? I'm with you. I think they do and they roll, but on the other hand, it wouldn't surprise me if they fall flat.
Jeff, I'm a fan of New Mexico State, and I thought I was going to be picking them because what they've done and what Chris Jans has done. But unfortunately for me, they're matched up with a team that's a mirror image of them, can go 10 deep, likes to press the ball, likes to shoot the three. So I didn't find the value playing on New Mexico State in this game. Are you getting action one way or the other?
Yeah, a lot of sharp action on New Mexico State. We opened 7.5. We're all the way down to 5. We're at the bottom of the market. We've got some small public interest on Auburn, but all the big money's on New Mexico State. I look at the New Mexico State schedule. They lost to Drake. They lost to Cal Baptist. Their marquee win is actually a loss to Kansas. Auburn is one of the hottest teams in the country. Maybe they peaked on Sunday. I'm not sure. I don't agree with this move whatsoever, and it's getting into the playable range on the Auburn side for me.
Is Auburn last year's Michigan?
Or is Auburn last year's Auburn? Because they had, they were terrible in the first round last year. So they've got. It's an interesting game. I think they're going to just run up and down the court. So it kind of looks like a game where the class is supposed to prevail, and I suppose that's Auburn. But I don't know. This New Mexico State team scares me a little bit. Baylor and Syracuse. Now this is a game where I'm going to guess most of the money is going to be. There might be more money in the total in this game than there is on the side. At least in terms of larger bets, because I think you're going to get a nuts underreaction from the bettors in this one, and I really can't disagree with it.
Yeah, this is our most lopsided game in the first round so far. We opened 2, we're at 2.5 now. The public loves Syracuse and their tournament acumen. It doesn't matter how good of a side they bring to the tournament. They always seem to win a few games they're not necessarily supposed to win. There is so little Baylor handle. We haven't even broken 4 figures in handle on Baylor yet.
That's it sounds like a Gonzaga game, which we'll get to in a little bit. Why don't we get to that now, Ralph?
Yeah, let's talk about
Gonzaga.
Let's talk about the Zags, and I want to share an angle with our listeners. And there's only a handful of teams that are a 90% win team. Those teams in the first round, a double-digit favorite that won 90% of their games, are 3-16 against the spread.
Wow.
The Zags' goal isn't to win the first round. The Zags' goal is to get to the Elite Eight or further. I'm sure they're looking at prepping for Syracuse or Baylor's. I mean, they have to prep for both of those zones in round 2. Are people on the Zags paying this big price in round 1?
These huge 4-touchdown spread games year in and year out do the least amount of handle of all the tournament games because the public doesn't want to lay 4 touchdowns, but the public doesn't want to hold their nose and play the dog either. We had a little bit of sharp interest, minus 26.5 this morning, but I would expect this game to be the lowest handle game on the board tomorrow, and there really hasn't been much indication one way or another.
And one difference between Gonzaga this year and other years, they're coming in off a really bad game.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I think Mark Few might not have to say much to motivate them for this game tomorrow.
I'm sure he's not happy to have to prep for Baylor or Syracuse. I mean, that's a hell of a second-round opponent with 2 different defenses like that.
What about other Thursday games or Friday matchups right now that are getting a lot of interest, Jeff?
The highest handle game for either day right now is Yale versus LSU, and it's the highest handle by a long way. Have one respected guy minus 7.5, and then multiple respected guys, Yale plus 8. The LSU money came early. Now the Yale money's coming. We also took a really large LSU money line bet. The public's weighing in on both sides of this game. The handle is incredible in this game, and I guess it's possibly because it's the second game off the board. And everybody's getting down on that already. But, this game's driving a ton of interest.
How about the total? Because the total interests me. I think it is going to go over the total, even at the number it's at, with the way Yale presses the pace. And, this isn't your dad's Ivy League team of Princeton with the 5 with the motion offense. They press the pace. Oney's going to be a first-round pick. Any action on the total?
Well, if you like the over, keep waiting. We opened 160.5. We're down to 156.5. Which is interesting because these are 2 of the more efficient offensive teams in the country. We have shown a little interest over 156.5. Maybe that's the bottom of the market, but I would expect a very entertaining end-to-end type game here.
I want to throw one more out there and get Jason in on this conversation as well, because annually, Kansas is a team that attracts a lot of money come NCAA tournament time. They've got a great following. They're obviously a traditional power. But this Kansas team is not the Kansas teams we've seen in the past because of the injuries. They've got 4 very young players on the floor. I